We're ready.
It's too fun. That's so.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the July 16th, 2024 meeting of the North Bend City Council to order. Will the clerk please call roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Alan Godhealth,
Present.
Councilmember Brendan Elwood,
Present.
Councilmember Mark Jocelyn,
Present.
Councilmember Heather Cullen, Councilmember Christina Rustick,
Present.
Councilmember Susan Torgerson,
Here.
Councilmember Errol Tremolata.
Here.
All right.
You make sure that, Councilman, Heather Poland is excused. She did give us notice.
Okay, I was just gonna say all council members are present with the exception of Councilmember Cullen, who is excused.
Thank you very much. Can clerk please lead us in this flag salute?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's great to see you here and to hear you and see you online. We will now move on to our consent agenda. We have 5 items on the consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Gotelf and seconded by Mr. Tremolata. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mark. Any opposed? The motion carries and is unanimous. Before we move on to citizen comments, as indicated in tonight's agenda, if you are attending remotely and would like to submit public comment, please submit your written comments via in-person drop-off, mail, fax, or email to sopadal@northbendwa.gov by 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting. We are no longer taking public comments for those attending remotely via Zoom unless they have reached out to the city clerk in advance of the meeting to request accommodations. We will now move on to citizen comments. At this time, if you would like to comment on an item that is not on our agenda, we would invite you to come forward to the podium. If you have requested accommodation with the city clerk and wish to speak during citizen comments, please raise your hand through the virtual platform and we will take your comments after in-person comments. Please remember to state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes for the record to speak. And okay. Okay. We are going to roll with that. Thanks, Aaron. Okay, Aaron, do we have anybody on? Anybody interested?
We do. Michael Thomas.
Thank you. Michael, can you hear us? I see your hand.
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Mike Thomas, 1231 LA Forest Drive. Had a few quick comments. First of all, I want to thank my fellow 546,000 Washingtonians who signed Initiative I-2066, which is the one to protect natural gas service. This is well above the about 350,000 that are needed to certify. So look forward to seeing this, on the ballot. And again, I think this is part of natural gas is an essential service. I may speak more to this later on AB 24-065. But again, my thanks to all the people that spoke to that. For those that are, supporting this, you're in very good company. The second thing is I wanted to call citizens' attention to was the last work study where some issues regarding, let's say, financial shortfalls are coming to play. Certainly, I think we're all faced with higher expenses, but I was very surprised to continue to see the property that was near Trucktown that was slated for National Card development, continue to be identified, to have a hotel, but also a suggestion that a ULID was needed. I really wish that property would return to the Salal Water Service area. I think the city has created a large financial obstacle for itself by requiring that property will require a long duplicate run and a pumping station to serve that property. That property is better served by Salal. And I think that's going to be a key obstacle in commercial development out there. Lastly, I wanted to call attention to an item that's going on with King County. King County Department of Health is revising its on-site septic system code. And there are several meetings, one on July 20th and a virtual one on August 8th and another one upcoming. I encourage citizens who have septic systems within the city to go to kingcountyoss.info to learn about the process that is going on to take citizen input. The county expects to adopt revised code this fall, and I think citizens with OSSs can expect more complex systems, but a few other changes. Septic systems are very important to us. They save us a lot of money. They're also necessary for public health. I know there's several neighborhoods in our community, Silver Creek, others in Cedar Falls Way, and more around 436, also around Cedar Falls Way, that are really unsewered. And I know this is a challenge for many of our residents who might be forced with conversion. So please pay attention, go to kingcountyoss.info, and please consider attending the meeting on 7/20 in Sammamish or the final virtual meeting on 8/8. Thank you very much, and this concludes my comment.
Thank you, Michael. Wow, look at that for timing. Impressive. Anybody else, Aaron?
Yes, Flora Cosa.
Okay, thank you. Laura, we are here. Are you there with us?
Hi, yes, I am.
Great. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Flora Cosa, and I'm part of Confluence Consulting. We're a firm that's working with King County to inform the public, the residents, about the code changes that are coming through. And they're really looking for an opportunity to speak to the residents and hear from them regarding the code changes. And thank you to Mike. He's kind of already talked about the meetings that we're going to be having on, we have one coming up on July 20th, and we have another one in Kent on July 27th. But we're really interested in getting the North Bend residents to come and attend this meeting and really share your insights and your voice, lend your voice to the decisions that we're making around the upcoming code changes. I have information and links to the sites. I'm not sure whether there's an appropriate form or somewhere where I can share it, but I'll definitely like to forward that information to anyone who can publish it perhaps on your websites or just let the public know.
Laurette?
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. For the record, would you state your name and your address, please?
Sure. My name is Florette Cosa, and I live in Sammamish, 3443 East Lake Sammamish Shore Lane, Sammamish, Washington.
Thank you very much. Anybody else, Aaron?
No one at this time.
Okay.
And Mayor, the public podium comment, podium is now working sound.
I couldn't hear that. Sorry.
The public podium is working on sound now. So if we have in-person public.
So we're back to the mics.
It
Okay.
works. Yes.
Big thumbs up to that. Excellent. Good job. Okay. Let's see. We are going to move on here. Announcement, presentations, and appointments. We will now move on. And items number 6, introduction of North Bend police officers. Tonight we have police captain, Gary Haracy, present to us, to council, and introduce our new police officers. Gary, will you please come to the podium? There you are. Introduce our fabulous new officers.
Madam Mayor, council members, City Administrator Miller. I want to start off first we have one new officer, one older officer. So I want to first start off with Sergeant Vladis was recently promoted from officer to sergeant, effective July 2nd. He's been with the Snoqualmie Police Department for 11 years. Prior to that, he was in Maui County. He served over his career many various jobs: firearms instructor, undercover officer, SWAT team, crime reduction units, explorer advisor. We had a meeting earlier today. He took over our firearms program as the range master, and he's married with two kids. 11 and 13 years old. They live here in the Snoqualmie Valley and they completely enjoy this area and spending time with their family and, you know, the community. He has become one of my go-tos since I started here. He's a straight shooter and I can always trust him to tell me when I'm going the wrong path, and he'll get me right back on where I need to go. And it goes the other way too. So it's nice to have that.
Say, I don't have a very long time when it comes to you, Captain.
It's nice to have somebody that's not afraid to, you know, get you back on track when you're going off a little bit. And, you know, he has a lot of institutional knowledge. So I wanted to say, you know, congratulations. I wasn't here during your promotional ceremony, so this is my time to say thank you, and
Thank you.
I look forward to it. So I'll leave the floor open to you for a second.
Thank you. I'll make it brief. Dimitri Vladis, my wife's here, Courtney. Our boys are actually at soccer practice, so they couldn't make it. We live here in Snoqualmie, we live up on the ridge. Just like the captain said, I've done a lot of different stints in law enforcement, but I've, over the years, being able to do everything in law enforcement, my focus now is more so on a community outreach and dealing with a lot of different people, a lot of different nationalities, a lot of different walks of life. And living in Hawaii, that's what I've dealt with for most of my career. So these are big shoes to fill, and I appreciate, you know, the captain and the chief for giving me that opportunity. It was finally my time. I've tested before, it wasn't my time before. Now it is. So I want to thank you guys for having me here. I really appreciate it. My wife and my kids they're the ones that are my biggest fans, my biggest support group. And they're the ones that are actually making the ultimate sacrifice, because being a cop and, you know, being a SWAT guy, being a firearms guy, there's a lot of sacrifice that our families have to make. So they're the ones that pick up the pieces. So most of the achievements actually goes to them, because without them, I wouldn't be here today. So, but thank you. Appreciate it.
So next we have one of our most recent graduates from the academy. Graduated on last Thursday, July 11th. William Notka. He was born in the greater Tacoma area. He grew up in a large family. He has 7 siblings. It was very interesting at the graduation ceremony. For those of you that have been there, we went outside after the graduation and they started to take pictures of us and them after we swore them in. And it had to be the largest family I have ever seen show up to a graduation. In fact, the person who was taking the pictures was backing up just to make sure that we could fit everybody. So it was awesome to see that and to see the support that he has for this career. That is very important. Prior to starting with the Snoqualmie Police Department, William taught snowboarding up at Snoqualmie Pass at the summit there. While he was attending college, he's worked in the service field for pretty much his professional life, as a paraeducator, coaching, and in the restaurant business. He said it the other day. He gave me some notes. He's extremely committed to serving the community. He's fortunate. He's got 2 communities to serve. So, you know, North Bend and Snoqualmie, where we're not that much different, it's a nice area that he can expand on his dreams to, you know, continue serving that community and being in the service industry. So I want to say thank you. Welcome to the team. And, you know, you've got a bright future. So.
Hey, Captain. I want to thank all of you, and I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, don't go away. Do you want, we have some questions probably from council for you gentlemen, fine, fantastic gentlemen. Are there any questions? Just jump, just stay in the building. Susan? Excuse me.
I was just gonna say, for the range master, I am certainly happy that you are a straight shooter.
That's a well-intended pun, right? Okay. And Brendan, I don't want to miss you, Brendan. I see your hand.
Thank you. Yes, I was going to say, welcome aboard. Glad to have you. It's awesome to see our officers and law enforcement agents living in the area, connecting with our community in much deeper ways. So thank you both for your service and welcome aboard, and congratulations, Sergeant Gladys. And Councilmember Torgerson took my little pun joke too. So I'm glad the captain said you're a straight shooter given all the jobs you've held in law enforcement.
Glad to know we're working with a sharp crowd. Okay, anybody else? No? I just want to add then, congratulations, gentlemen. I wasn't able to make it to your graduation. I was stuck in traffic, unfortunately, so bad on me. But in the future, I will fully intend to keep that up. And Vladdy, wonderful news, your high success story, and whether you're shooting or not shooting, you're a good man. So we're lucky to have you. So looking forward to the future. And I hear, William, you're an excellent basketball player too. I read that. I admit to it. I read that.
Well, thank you for the effort of trying to make it out.
Oh, almost isn't good enough, but I will look into that. Thank you. So we're going to do a little, we're going to do a little photo op, gentlemen. So I'll be right out there and Bree will get us all ready for the shot. Okay, right, coming right now. Extremely well this is so not
I should have that statement at the bottom. All right. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Yes. Y'all can conclude.
Well, I always like to have fun, so here we go. Thank you. Have a great night. Let's move on to commission and committee reports. And I'm going to start with Community and Economic Development, and this would be Christina.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The Community and Economic Development Committee met today at 4 o'clock in the adjournment room. 3 items that will be on the August 20th agenda are code enforcement ordinance, Sideview ILA for park management, and capital facilities element. So we'll look forward to that. We also had a full agenda. We had some discussion about the TIF process for a potential pool, the economic development update on business opportunities and economic development action plan implementation, and a contract with the Snoqualmie tribe. So yeah, it was a full day. So thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for that report. Errol, Finance and Administration.
Yep. So we met on July 9th in the adjournment room. Couple highlights. We got an update from Mr. Martin about our S&P rating, which was now restored, AA for general obligation bonds and AA- for utility revenue bonds. So reaffirmed, great news. Well, great work. We reviewed our 2024 ARPA obligations, got a status review of what we had tagged for ARPA funds. Reviewed a payroll analysis, which will be on council agenda soon, or actually might have been tonight. Reviewed general fund forecasting for 2025 through 2030. Lots of good work going on there, so we're excited to see that through, and as well got an update on recruitment efforts for a deputy director of finance.
Thank you for that fine report, Errol. Christina, back to you for public health and safety.
Yes, thank you. The July 2nd Public Health and Safety Committee meeting was canceled due to the 4th of July holiday.
Yeah, holiday getting in the way, right? Susan, let's see, Transportation and Public Works, you're subbing. And thank you.
Yes, who was subbing in for Heather?
Was subbing in for Heather.
And tonight I'm subbing in for Heather. Anyways, Transportation and Public Works meeting was on June 25th. We met in the adjournment room. We went over several new business items. One will be on the agenda tonight. The ordinance lowering the speed limit for the north segment of the SR 202. We discussed that. Mark Rigosi discussed the lighting study at 30 intersections. And Brian Tucker brought to us resolution authorizing DEA with ETO 40 lot subdivision private development, which is also going to be on the agenda tonight, which was actually, we already did that. And then Brian Tucker discussed the resolution authorizing DEA with biotherapeutics commercial project. Again, it was on tonight's consent agenda. And that was it.
Thanks, Susan. Alan, work study.
Thank you. The city council met and worked today, June 25th in the agenda room. We discussed fiscal sustainability alternative 3, extremely exciting, and we discussed presentation on regional poll options. And that was it. I'll go ahead and move to East Side Fire and Rescue.
Please do. Thank you.
All righty. So make sure I pull up the right one. Okay, I'll start with the fire chief briefing and I'll go in. I'll have to pull the email. So at the fire chief briefing, he discussed the fact that we got our ratings for as of 8/1/2024 for the WSRB, which affects our insurance, property insurance out here. North Bend Protection stayed at a class 3. Issaquah was at a class 4. Mammoth is at a class 4. District 10 is a class 4. District 38 is a class 4. City of Mercer Island is a class 4. City of Woodinville is a class 3. And WF and our fire district protection is a class 4. And for those wondering what the numbers mean, the lower number is the better number. So your insurance goes lower based upon that number. Just give you some update on that. We met with the City of Issaquah and Fairlawn Consulting, the legal teams, and Department of Ecology to review the agreed orders for Issaquah Valley cleanup sites. And we should be taking a look at a new ILA between Eastside Fire and Rescue, the city, and with the finalized orders. Staff is working hard on the 2025-2026. We just had our first FAC meeting. As previously, a significant portion of the operation is tied to personnel costs, like all of us know. And the release this week of the CPIW was at 3.6%. So we've been pegging that at 4%, so I'll be able to adjust as we move forward. He also attended the King County levy planning update. Where they're requesting more funding to come out of for BLS. The next planning meeting is August. The agency work group started to present their first new vision, who we are statement, and 4 new value statements that we'll be sharing out with everybody else. With the anticipation of Duval joining Eastside Fire and Rescue staff finalized employment offers for 10 entry fire fighters. And we'll start to recruit those next. We had a graduation recruitment on July 17th. And then just a little update, people might have been, a little idea of what happened July 4th. July 4th, we had 68 calls, 39 of them were medical, 5 were brush fires, 5 were bark dumpster appliance fires, 4 were AFA, 3 were smoke related, 2 were structure fires, 2 vehicle fires, and 1 MVC. Fireworks related, a house fire in Woodinville, a garbage can in Sammamish, brush fire in an empty lot on Mercer Island, brush fire in Carnation, and 2 teens with their hand injury. Anybody getting an idea that we're in fire season? Also, if y'all are tonight, we're under a wildfire watch because of the firework or the possible lightning tonight. And that was part. Let me go into the board packet really quickly to do that.
For those listening, you were still on.
We're still on. I'm sorry. I had it up here and I shut it down. I don't know how I ended up here. Give me 1 second. Okay. So. All right, so on our agenda, wasn't a lot on our agenda. Most of the regular business was a technical rescue deployment overview. We also referred the 25-26 budget fact for the next fact meeting coming forward. And that was it. That completes my.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Councilmember. Got so excited talking with all the chairmen here.
That's it.
Okay, Ms. Deming, would you like to provide the report for Planning, Parks and Economic Development Commission, please?
Thank you. The Planning Commission and Parks Commission have not met since our last council update. The Planning Commission will next meet on August 7th to review and discuss the requirements of SB 5290, the local project review requirements. The Parks Commission will next meet on July 24th and discuss public outreach that they will do at the North Bend Farmers Market. The Economic Development Commission continues to work on project and ideas to generate more visitors to local businesses. The commission met June 27th and received an update and discussed actions to date to implement the Economic Development Strategic Plan. In addition, the commission reviewed ongoing business attraction, retention, and expansion projects to bring job opportunities and investments to North Bend. Finally, the commission received an update about the cycling story map to promote North Bend as a destination for mountain, gravel, and road cycling. The commission will next meet on July 25th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Deming. As far as regional committee reports, does anyone on council wish to share? Anybody online wish to share? Gentlemen?
No one at this time.
Nope. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the main agenda. Item number 7, AB 24-064, public hearing and ordinance vacating portion of State Highway number 2 right of way. Ms. Deming, will you please provide the staff report?
Thank you. The subject property was originally purchased by WashDOT for what was considered State Highway 2. It is considered surplus property that has never been developed as roadway. The property was initially transferred to King County, then subsequently transferred to North Bend when the city annexed the area. In 2016, John Day Homes worked with King County Roads and Real Estate Division to get them to quit claim the subject property to the city of North Bend. However, after research, the county determined that the property was already transferred to the city through that annexation process and therefore would not sign the quitclaim deed. In order to remove the classification on the site as right-of-way, the street vacation is the usual process. Previously, council also added zoning to the site as parks, open space, and public facilities, since this was not planned to stay roadway in the future. Sideview Metropolitan Park District is interested in land as part of the development of their administration building. After the vacation, the city is proposing to exchange the land in consideration of a release of all property owner interest by Sideview in Torgerson Park, such that the city of North Bend would be the sole ownership of Torgerson Park. This is a win-win proposition to benefit the community. Staff recommends holding a public hearing and moving forward with the ordinance. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Deming. Counselor, are there any clarifying questions? No? Okay, we'll move on to the public hearing. The public hearing on an ordinance vacating a portion of State Highway number 2 right of way is now open. If any members of the audience would like to comment during the public hearing, we would invite you to come forward to the podium at this time. If you have requested accommodation with the city clerk and wish to speak, please raise your hand through the virtual platform and we will take your comments. After in-person comments, please remember to state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Aaron? I can.
No one at this time.
No, we're good. I guess we're, okay. All right, so I'm gonna strike that gavel. The public hearing is on an ordinance vacating a portion of the State Highway number 2 right of way is now closed. Councilmember Rustic, will you please make the motion?
Yes, thank you. Motion to approve AB 24-064, an ordinance vacating a portion of city right-of-way of State Highway number 2 as a first and final reading.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Ms. Rustic and seconded by Mr. Tremolata. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, yep, we're good. That's passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody.
Mayor,
Yep, no,
Nobody had a chance to.
Oh,
So discuss.
my apologies. Here we go. Would anyone like to speak? I have a quiet group. I am not used to this. You're shocking me. It's okay.
I just, Your Honor,
Yes.
just a comment. I think it's interesting that there's initiative to put an aquatic center there, which I supported. And I'm wondering what folks would have thought who were on the fence about supporting that aquatic center would have, if they would have supported the aquatic center or not, knowing that another type of facility can go there like offices. Some of the comments that I heard out in the streets where people were concerned because it was open space and this and that, but there was a lot of concern and protest about an aquatic center in and of itself. So I just wonder, just out loud, how knowledge that that location can actually have a facility on it that's not an aquatic center may have influenced people to support the aquatic center. Just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elwood. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, the motion before us is to approve AB 24-064, an ordinance vacating a portion of the city right-of-way of State Highway number 2 as a first and final reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Okay, moving on to item number 8, AB 24-065, resolution authorizing adoption of franchise utilities element update for 2024 comprehensive plan. Ms. Demi, would you like to provide that report? And thank you again.
As part of the 2024 comprehensive plan amendments, city staff have prepared draft amendments to the utilities element, including renaming this element as the franchise utilities element to better clarify what it addresses, specifically franchise utilities operated by other providers within the city. For specifically electricity, natural gas, solid waste, and recycling and telecommunications. Of note, other utilities, including water, sewer, and stormwater, are addressed in the city's capital facilities element, which will be coming to the council at a later date. The revisions to this element are intended to update outdated information as provided by these franchise utilities providers and to provide policy amendments responsive to comments received, including comments from Puget Sound Energy and the Washington State Department of Wildlife, which are included in the packet. The Planning Commission reviewed these amendments at its April 3rd and April 17th meetings, including holding a public hearing on April 3rd, and has made their recommendation of approval. This draft has also been updated to revise language in the natural gas section responsive to comments received from the public at the last city council meeting, per the CED committee recommendation. That updated language is shown in redlined form on page 185 of the packet. The motion before you is to approve a resolution authorizing the adoption of the element together with the rest of the comprehensive plan when the remaining elements are ready for adoption and when the State Environmental Policy Act review has been completed for the comprehensive plan as a whole. Staff is recommending approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Debbing. Are there any questions from council? Clarifying questions at all? No. Mr. Galto.
Yeah, you made a comment that we're waiting for stuff to be added to this by other. Well, I missed the part. You said something, so if you could clarify that.
We are adopting we are approving each element by resolution individually, and then we will bring them all back as a whole and adopt the comp plan together as a whole once the SEPA is complete.
Thank you very much. Any other further comments? Okay.
Yeah, and there was it was brought back by council because there was some conversation about the gas statement. Did we make changes to that? And is that what you're saying is on red line on 185?
That's correct.
Just, thank you.
Okay, going once, going twice. Anybody else? No? Okay, if any members of the audience would like to comment on this agenda item, we would invite you to come forward to the podium at this time. If you have requested accommodation with the city clerk and wish to speak, please raise your hand through the virtual platform, and we will take your comments after in-person comments. Please remember to name or state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak. And I see Michael's hand. Michael?
Good evening, council. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Mike Thomas, 1231 LaForest Drive, SE. I want to thank Councilperson Tremolata and Heather Colin for taking the initiative to send this back to committee to remove the language on natural gas. Certainly, natural gas we view as essential, for many of us at North Bend. And again, you're in very safe company. 546,000 people in Washington signed that initiative, repelling, really a ill-conceived state law that would radically impact natural gas. There are a couple other things I wanted to bring to the attention. Is one of the problems that we seem to have in North Bend is a constant number of blackouts or brownouts, whether due to environmental conditions such as snow and ice, trees blowing over, hitting power lines, and certainly I support undergrounding facilities. But there was one outage that troubled me. It was also associated with some ice storms in January, where PSE also called for reductions in natural gas and electricity usage. Since we're also talking about comprehensive planning going for the future, the fact that there were such severe cutbacks called due to facility problem with natural gas, and both for electricity and natural gas, suggests to me there's insufficient energy capacity for growth. And this really troubles me as folks going forward looking for growth. We don't necessarily have enough energy to support what we have today in consideration of a failure. So that's very troubling from a planning perspective. The other thing that I've run into is citizens that are trying to increase their own reliability, such as like adding, standby generators. Running into trouble with PSE. One of the things that's in the franchise element is behind the meter solutions. There are things that you can put behind the collar that will allow you to hook up a generator very efficiently without any challenge. And those are not currently supported by PSE. And in fact, that should be in your packet. So I'd like, there to be a greater support for these more advanced devices. And the other thing is also in conjunction with wildfire, certainly I recommend that we underground facilities, but one of the things I'm noticing in other states is power outages being called due to wildfire risks. This will also increase, our outages. And then what do we do to support people with medical needs or need backup generation to get through these brownouts? Some of the utilities in other states are actually paying for people's, backup generation. Anyway, I'd like to thank the council for, again, sending this back to committee, but I think more could be done to encourage PSE to adopt some of the more advanced, transfer systems, and as well as address some of the reliability concerns. And again, this concludes my comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Anybody else? Doesn't look like it. Okay, Councilmember Rustick, please make the motion.
Yes, thank you. Motion to,
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Matt. How did I miss you? I apologize. Oh, of course.
Rushing stage.
Oh.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak tonight. I'm Matt Larson from Puget Sound Energy, Local Government Affairs. And it was my intent just to come primarily to listen tonight. I did want to respond to a few comments. The initiative 2066, for example, that in part was a reaction to a House Bill 1589 that was passed by the legislature this last session. And I think there's a lot of folks that reacted to that, saying that somehow was causing a gas ban. And that's not true. RCW 80.28.010, again, that's RCW 80.28010, is a driving law that says we have an obligation to serve. In fact, the language for obligation to serve is still in House Bill 1589. What has been the case for Puget Sound Energy for over 100 years is that the UTC requires us to create an independent integrated resource plan for the electrical system and then an entirely separate integrated resource plan for gas. And 1589 was saying in response to the CETA, or the Clean Energy Transformation Act that was passed in 2019, and further measures with the CCA and the Climate Commitment Act in 2020, those are the drivers to say by 2045, we have to be basically at zero carbon and off of gas and do that transition. So we don't have a clear roadmap as to how that happens. What we're asking in 1589 with the legislature, which UTC was to allow us to integrate those two plans together and basically have a roadmap that protects the company, protects our customers, and has a smoother thought out plan or off ramp, essentially, to say, how are we going to do that transition? The drivers for gas bans and whatnot are less to do with any actions PSE is doing, than us answering or responding to those obligations from the state legislature or even new building codes and so forth. So if you do get questions from residents, a lot of great questions from, I think it was Mike Thompson, was it? Tonight, he brought up several topics, each of which could be a half an hour response or presentation. Maybe some of the staff could remember the council meeting we did back in March, I think. If he could go back and watch that, I think the PSC presentation that we did, it was a little more of a deep dive into some of the issues around the storms in January and February. That would be very helpful. If I was provided his contact information, I could also provide him a lot of work that we're doing on wildfire issues. That's a immensely important issue to PSC now, given what you saw down in California with the billions of dollars of damage that were done with fires that were caused by the transmission systems, and of course with Maui as well. And so things like public safety or PSPS, public safety power shutoffs and so forth. But again, that's a whole long presentation in itself, and I could provide more information offline if you'd like. So thank you. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any other questions pertaining to the comp plan elements. Thank you. Yeah, and we supported the amendments, by the way. We didn't have any issues with taking out any kind of language about banning or we still have an obligation to.
Hey, Matt, sorry to grab you there. I don't know for the record if we got your full name and your address, just for the record.
Oh, okay. Matt Larson, home address, I guess, 7018 Fairway in Snoqualmie, Washington. Yeah, and I do local government affairs and public policy manager for PSC.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Rustic, will you please make the motion now? Thank you very much.
Motion to approve AB 24-065, a resolution authorizing adoption of the update for the franchise utilities agreement element for the 2024 North Bend Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you. And would you like to have a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Motion made by Ms. Rustic and seconded by Ms. Torgerson. Ms. Rustic, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Larson, for your comments. I know that this did go back to the Economic Development Committee for a second review, and you were a participant in that, and we had a lot of questions for you, so we appreciate you answering that. And at this point, we feel that the revisions that have been made adequately cover what we, as the city of North Bend, is in our best interest. So thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Torgerson.
Yes, so that last council meeting, I read the packet beforehand. I noticed that it said natural gas is not an essential service. And so I want to say the process works, because then I reached out to Errol, let him know about it, and he brought it back to the committee, and then they started talking to staff. And we were able to, we couldn't get it off the agenda, but what we did is we moved it off. So I just want to say to everyone who was concerned about it in the community, that the process works and we were able to, as a team, take care of it. And I'm very excited that we were able to change the language, where I think everybody's gonna be happy with that.
Thank you, Ms. Torgerson. Anyone on council wish to have a comment? Nope. Anyone online? Nope. Okay, so the motion before us is to approve AB 24-065, a resolution authorizing adoption of the update for the franchise utilities element for 2024 North Bend Comprehensive Plan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Okay, item number 9, AB 24-066, resolution authorizing adoption of energy and sustainability elements update for the comprehensive plan 2024, excuse me. Ms. Deming, once again, will you provide the staff report?
As part of the 2024 Comprehensive Plan Amendment, city staff has prepared draft amendments to the energy and sustainability element. The element has been revised to update and replace outdated information, address recent legislation, and to address various countywide planning policies and multi-county planning policies addressing issues of greenhouse gas emissions reductions, equity, urban forestry, and hazard mitigation, as well as to address comments received from Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife and the Snoqualmie Tribe. Of note, this update is not intended to address the full range of climate change topics required under House Bill 1181. Which the city will need to address in the new climate change and resiliency element that is due by June 30th, 2029. That update will occur in a subsequent update following the city's 2024 comprehensive plan amendments. The planning commission reviewed these amendments at its May 15th and June 5th meetings with a public hearing on June 5th and has made their recommendation of approval. The motion before you is to approve a resolution authorizing adoption of this element, which will return with the rest of the elements once approved with the SEPA, as was mentioned under the previous item. Staff recommends approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Ms. Deming. Council, do you have any clarifying questions? No, didn't have to go too far.
I'm asking a lot of questions.
That's
The
good.
information in this packet here, is this something, I guess we've looked at it. There's some areas in here, I guess, wordsmiths, is this something that we review and this is gonna be adopted today, or is this gonna come back before us again in some other form?
You are approving it today, but it does also come back for final adoption, but this is your approval.
So this would be the time to bring up that
Yes.
comment, not now. 'Cause it's not clear.
This is the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a clarifying.
Okay, anybody else? No, seeing none. If any members of the audience would like to comment on this agenda item, we would invite you to come forward to the podium at this time. If you have requested accommodation with the city clerk and wish to speak, raise your hand through the virtual platform and we will take your comments after in-person comments. Please remember to state your name, your address, and your 3 minutes to speak. Seeing nobody. Okay, okay, we're gonna move on. Please, Councilmember Rustic, once again, will you please make the motion?
And busy now. Yes,
You are
thank
having
you.
this night. Mhm.
Motion to approve AB 24-066, a resolution authorizing adoption of the energy and sustainability element for the 2024 North Bend Comprehensive Plan.
Do we have a second? Don't rush, everybody.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Tremolata. Okay, once again, we're gonna have a rewind the record here because it's gonna be Ms. Rustic as making the motion and Mr. Tremolata as the second. Ms. Rustic, would you like to comment on your motion?
There were some updates made based on changes to code as Ms. Deming already mentioned, and so nothing of significant change, just really some updates, so.
Mr. Tremolata, thank you for that, by the way. Do you have any comments?
Just briefly, would like to say out loud that I appreciate planning commission and the city staff taking into account public comments from our friends at the Snoqualmie tribe. I think stuff like that means a lot when we incorporate and reach out and hear what they have to say and incorporate to the best that we're willing to do. So glad to see that, and well done.
Excellent, excellent points to make, Errol. Thank you for that. Anybody else from council wish to comment?
Yeah.
Mr. Cotel.
Yeah, I had a couple of comments from some people who let me know. One of the comments I thought was interesting is there's a section calling for increased density to put more people together in a smaller areas for easier mass transit. Now, I understand, increased density, but as this community is, when we all went out, looking for votes, is not looking for increased density. Is that something that was added, was originally there? And is there some way of modifying that to, follow what our community seems to feel for increased growth and density?
Which section are you referring to?
I was told it was in there. It says a section calling for increased density. And somebody asked me about that. And I've been looking to find where that came in, but apparently it's in. That was a comment given to people. You know where that would have.
Density would normally be in the land use section, not energy and sustainability. So that's why I'm.
Yeah, I couldn't find it, so I was asked about it, so I didn't know if that was.
Was there a section, I seem to recall something along those lines that was talking about incentivizing or giving some benefit. I'm looking at it right now.
What?
Page 9.
It's at page 9.
199 if you're in the packet.
199. Huh. And then study if salad densities, land use design, yeah. For just walking,
99.
bicycling, yeah, that's like, another strategy is through establishing destiny and land use designs that support use of public transit, encourage walking, bicycling, and other alternatives to the single occupant trips. I think the density was the comment that people felt comfortable with.
Still not seeing it.
That is,
It's under G, fossil fuel consumptions, and I think
That-
it's mainly related to transportation is
That-
what I'm getting out of this.
that does not have any change from our existing 2015 comp plan. If you go to the red lines on page 223.
That's okay. All right. Gives me my answer. Thank you.
Does anybody else from council wish to make any comments? I thought I saw. Nobody? Okay, don't want to miss anybody. Yeah, no, that's good. The motion before us to approve AB 24-066, a resolution authorizing adoption of the energy and sustainability element for the 2024 North Bend Comprehensive Plan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are going forward unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Okay, item number 10, moving right along. AB 24-067, ordinance amending NBMC 10.12.010B regarding SR 202 speed limit. Mr. Rigos, will you provide the staff report, please?
You bet. Thanks, Mayor Mary. Good evening, council. Page 247 in your packet. This is an ordinance. That's pretty straightforward. It's about reducing a speed limit. State Route 202 is owned, operated, and maintained by Washington State Department of Transportation. It's on the west side of our city. I personally believe that 50-mile-per-hour speed limit 30, 40, 20 years ago was the appropriate speed limit. I do not believe it is the appropriate speed limit anymore. It's a little bit too fast for that corridor. There are more people driving back and forth. The herds of elk have been increasing over the years. There is no sidewalk on that stretch of corridor. The shoulders are narrow. There's no room for parallel parking. And there's quite a few pedestrians out there taking photos of the elk in Mount Si. Occasionally there are foggy conditions out there as well. So City of Snoqualmie approved a speed limit reduction in their side of 202. The city limits of North Bend and Snoqualmie are about the halfway point near Meadowbrook Farm Park, and Snoqualmie City Council approved that on July 8th, about a little over a week ago. Snoqualmie North Bend Police Department recommends this speed limit reduction. I'm recommending this speed limit reduction. The net is that it will take you each person about 10 seconds longer to drive back and forth between North Bend and Snoqualmie. So that's the impact to people. But there have been more elk collisions over the last several years. We had one a couple nights ago, and these elk are very large and it's dangerous to the public. So by dropping the speed limit from 50 miles an hour to 40 miles an hour, it increases your sight distance, that the time it takes to come to a complete stop. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Rigos. Any comments from council? Yep, our question. Yeah, Ms. Rustick.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rigos. Can you talk a little bit about the cost associated to the city with this change and also the process for making the change?
Yeah, the cost to City of North Bend residents should be zero or negligible. The speed limit signs are owned by Washington State Department of Transportation, so they will put up the new signs, they will post them, it will be their materials, their labor. The process at this point is just, we are the final approval. North Bend City Council is the final approval for this to happen. Speed limits are embedded in North Bend Municipal Code, so it's a North Bend City Council action for us for these speed limits to change on our side of the city limit boundary. So I think for the public's benefit, it would be nice if there was consistency where the speed limit was the same on the Snoqualmie side and the North Bend side. Otherwise, there will be confusion. It will be much easier for our police to enforce this speed limit as well. So the cost is zero. Did I answer your other question? Implementation, it will happen soon upon your approval. If you approve tonight, it will happen very soon.
Thank you. Any other clarifying or questions in general, Mr. Regos? Mr. Elwood?
Hi, I was just curious, thank you for that report, Mark. I'm not opposed to considering this or having public conversation about it, but I'm just wondering, are there any data that are available? I know in the packet, there was one page, page 255, excuse me, that had a map with some speed numbers from WashDOT. But apart from that, I've seen a couple of tables get floated around where it shows, over a 5-year stretch, there may have been 11 elk versus vehicle, I think it's how it's coded, incidents in 5 years. And one of those was just a driver swerved. And then I noticed that there was about 16 that were in Snoqualmie, all that seemed to be around the old middle school, high school area, which already has a reduced speed limit. And then on Snoqualmie Parkway, which I believe is also 40 miles an hour. So are there any data that kind of back up what I think we're all thinking anecdotally? Yeah, people should slow down. Are there any good available data on this?
Washington State Department of Transportation did the speed study, and those speeds are reflected, the speed study is reflected in page 253 of your packet. There's 85th percentile speed, a 50th percentile speed. Those speeds are shown in both the eastbound and westbound directions in 3 or 4 areas along there. If you look at milepost 28.83, that's pretty close to Northwest 14th Street. That's the fastest speeds that you see at the 85th percentile, which is about 50 miles per hour. So people are already driving underneath 50 miles per hour by quite a bit. That's a sign that the speed limit is probably too fast. And if you drive it yourself, at least to me, feels like 50 miles per hour is a little bit fast. And that's what the data is showing here, that generally speed limits are set to be at that 85th percentile. And if you move to the north or move to the east, you'll see over close to the Snoqualmie Middle School before you get to the 35 mile per hour zone. The 85th percentile speed is 41 mile per hour in the eastbound direction and 43 mile per hour in the westbound direction. And then down all the way at Northwest 8th Street, it's at 42 miles per hour and 41 miles per hour. So we do have a bridge coming into city of North Bend downtown that has a short crest vertical curve. There's not great sight distance there. So I'd really like to see that speed limit reduced from 40 to 25 as you get to that bridge instead of 50 to 25. So it's not an extremely rigorous speed study, but WashDOT paid for it. They did the work. It is their highway.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Regos. Mr. Beltop, you got your hand up there.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. And I guess the question I have, because you kind of look at it and everywhere else is 40 miles an hour. And one of the big pushers for doing it there is for the safety of the elk and basically people driving. I understand that there's other initiatives that are going to add to the safety. Can you talk about those for the public and the council? So we understand that this is not in and of itself what we believe is going to be the answer to fix the situation on that highway.
So as part of the implementation, I'm not sure this is going to answer your question, but if the speed limit is reduced, WashDOT will put orange flags on the top of the speed limit signs to alert the driving public that the speed limit has changed from 50 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour. What's your question?
Yeah, I guess the question is, a lot of the issues there isn't necessarily that it's people stopping, that creates issues. That whole area is not designed for, the viewing that we see going on over there. So in my opinion, and I thought there were some other things that were going to happen there, reducing the speed limit on that section may or may not have a positive impact on safety there. I mean, I agree, you've got more speed distance, but there's a lot more that needs to be done on that road to make that road safe. Reducing it to that is one effort, but there's, people stopping on that, there's a very short turn in to go to that, the view area, people stop in that view area. So I'm curious about if there's any other, whether it be enforcement, whether it be designing the road future and the difference there. This in and of itself is not going to be the silver bullet.
Well, one of the physical conditions of this road is it's very narrow. There's no shoulders there. There's 5 foot wide shoulders and then it's a steep vertical drainage ditch. So if somebody pulls over, their tires, they're in the travel lane. That's really unsafe. It's safer if somebody were traveling 40 miles per hour than if they're traveling 50 miles per hour because they have more time to stop. Now, our police can enforce that. It's a police mechanism, and so we can certainly alert Snoqualmie North Bend Police to be policing that area for people not to park in that area. The collisions that we're seeing are mostly elk and vehicles. That's what we're seeing. So by dropping the speed limit 10 miles per hour, the sight distance reduces, greater chance that you won't hit that elk. If you were going to widen the shoulders through that corridor, that's a lot of money. I mean, you're talking about, and plus it's all in the 100-year floodplain. So the amount of fill you would place in that area and artificially raise the floodplain. I mean, it's a very large infrastructure project, $5-10 million easily to do something like that. So I don't think it's worth it.
Well, I think as a region, and DOT should look at it, because somebody's gonna get killed on that. Whether we reduce it to 40, that is an unsafe area. And what I'm saying, reducing that to 40 isn't gonna be the silver bullet. So I was curious if there were any other options, other things to try to make that area safer. And you're saying that this is the silver bullet that we're all saying is gonna solve the problem.
This will decrease the amount of collisions. Will it eliminate all? No, it won't eliminate all. Some of the collisions, there's, intoxicated drivers. There is, people that are distracted. I mean, it's not going to solve it all, but it will help. So.
Thank you. Mr. Jocelyn.
I didn't hear any statement that this was a silver bullet. This is a recommendation that's going to improve safety. What comes to mind for me is that it's free. There's no cost. I certainly agree. We'll be supporting the motion. I think it's a prudent move forward, and I appreciate it being brought forward. And I don't disagree with Councilmember Godhelf. I also believe that yes, you're misrepresenting somewhat what has been presented to us tonight. And again, I will be supporting this because I think it's the right thing to do. It makes so much sense given the nature of that corridor, the speeds that people already do drive below the speed limit does speak volumes. And I'm also struck, a 10-second difference is not such an imposition. So high schoolers travel that road all the time, that, getting to and from high school, all of it. There's many reasons that I think it makes a lot of sense. And while I enjoy the fact that it's a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, I can live with it going down to 40. And I think it also the argument that it puts us in line with action taken by our sister city of Snoqualmie, and that we have the same police force expected to enforce, behavior along that corridor are all reasons that, again, I will be supporting it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jocelyn. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, if any members of the audience would like to comment on this agenda item, we would invite you to come forward to the podium at this time. We have requested accommodation with the city clerk and wish to speak, please raise your hand via the online format, virtual format, and we will take your comments after in-person comments. Please remember to state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Green, Aaron, Michael, you're on.
Sure, Mike Thomas again, 1231 La Forest. I would have no objection to lowering the speed limit there, and I think that's a prudent safety measure. But I do want to echo Mr. Gotholf's pointed questions. We do notice a lot of drivers rubbernecking, pulling off, creating a lot of hazardous conditions, and that is a real problem. So I would encourage folks to look at additional enforcement. There's high probability of a severe collision or worse there because of that. So hopefully this is the start and not the end. Maybe the mechanism is additional enforcement. Stop rubbernecking, stop this hazardous pulling over, leaving your vehicle into the roadway. I observe it all the time. And one of the questions I have, and if council may know the answer or may ask staff the question, do we know if the elk population is sort of decreasing, increasing, or staying the same? I mean, anecdotally, there's hundreds of them. Are there more of them or less or what? So if there'd be some data on that, that might also be helpful. in that. I mean, again, I think people, love the elk herd. It's iconic, but, are we dealing with also, are we going to see more of this challenge with the elk in our area? Thanks, and that is my final comment. Again, if council would ask the question, or if staff would know, I would very much appreciate an answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Councilmember Torgerson, will you please make the motion?
Sure. Motion to approve AB 24-067, an ordinance amending North Bend Municipal Code 10-12-10B to reduce the speed limit from 50 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour for the segment of State Route 202 between milepost 28.28 and milepost 29.60 as first and final reading.
And second, Mr. Tremolata. Thank you very much. Would you like to speak to your motion, Ms. Torgerson?
Absolutely. First of all, when this first came out, I was kind of like, what do you mean change the speed limit? Give me data. So I reached out to Councilmember Hollywood from Snoqualmie. He actually gave me some data that he had received from the previous police chief a while ago, Perry Phipps. And then Police Chief Lynch also sent me more data. So what it came up with was the last 6 years, there's been 25 vehicle versus elk collisions. And then this year we've had 3 collisions so far. We're not even done with this year. So with that said, I think probably changing the speed limit down to 40 is probably a really good idea. And then if you look at the WSDOT, it's been average about 45, 46 miles per hour. So going down 5 miles per hour it's not that big of a deal. So I think we should go ahead and pass this.
Thank you, Ms. Torgerson. Mr. Tremolata.
Yeah, I guess I'll comment on a couple points that have not been raised, which is that 50-mile-an-hour corridor was set well before we restored Tollgate Farm, which is now an active center for hikers and walkers and other activities down the road, as well as Sirius Sirius Field. Thank you. And that's just phase 1. And Little League baseball is near and dear to my heart. So we've got a ton of Little Leaguers over there, both in our Little League and private select teams, soccer, lacrosse, fairly close to that corridor, probably closer than we'd like. So I think this is prudent, probably should have been done when we built that. And, knock on wood, phase 2 comes out of the ground and we'll have even more youngsters in that area over time. So makes a lot of sense to me. We don't really have, to my knowledge, 50-mile-an-hour corridors anywhere in our city limits, but that portion. So I think most folks would endorse that.
Thank you, Mr. Tremolata. Any other council comments? Ms. Rustic.
Just a brief comment. Thank you to Councilmember Torgerson for reaching out and finding some of that data. I was a little skeptical about this initially, and receiving some of that data too has changed my mind, and I plan to support this. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rustic. Anybody else? Nobody? I think. Oh, Brendan.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I was a little scratching my head a bit too, just wanting to see the data. And I think the data, and thank you, Ms. Torgerson, for supplying it, was really, as I was able to understand it, there's a lot of elk vehicle accidents, even in the 35 and 40-mile-an-hour zones. So, to Councilmember Gothel's point, I'm not sure 40 miles an hour is enough. So maybe a question back to you, Mark, is how do we get WSDOT invested in widening the shoulders there? Because as you said, it is their road. Sure, we have some legal oversight there as far as speeds and things, but how do we turn it into a bigger initiative? Because as Councilmember Tremolata pointed out, as we build out the parks, there's going to be more and more traffic. We're already seeing a lot more people moving to North Bend that aren't used to the 50-mile-an-hour corridor, aren't used to the fact that there's all these elk roaming around, aren't used to the fact that you're probably going to come up fast on a rubbernecker. So what are things that we can do to get WSDOT invested in doing that, as opposed to having to pull it all out of our coffers?
Well, I think WSDOT might answer that question by saying, City of North Bend, would you like to take this corridor from us? So, yeah, there's a lot of costs on that corridor. You've got two bridges, we've got a pavement problem on 202. It's one of the worst pavement stretches in the city of North Bend. It's the PCI, the pavement conditions down at 40 or 50. There's a lot of unsafe areas of that corridor, and there's many millions of dollars of deferred maintenance on that corridor. So that's a topic certainly we could bring up at a work study and talk about some of the bridges and talk about the conditions of the road, et cetera, and what pressure we want to put on WashDOT. Tonight's probably not the right night for that.
Yeah, but I think this is a good catalyst for those future discussions for sure. So I'd be supportive of that discovery process. Thank you. Those are all the questions I had.
Thank you, Mr. Elwood. I believe we caught everybody.
Got one more.
Oh, sorry, I'm.
You're fine. No, I was gonna answer that. I just want to stress, I mean, this in and of itself isn't gonna solve it. And I think what the council is trying to get is what pressure, who do we need to pressure to find other things? Because I don't think the 40 mile an hour is gonna solve it, because I drive that all the time. And like you said, the piece, this road's not good. It's not safe, even at the 40 mile an hour limit right now. And I'm afraid that we're gonna have a worse accident than an Elkton did, and that's my concern.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about lights, we can talk about sidewalks, widening, et cetera. It's a big money.
Truly understand it's big money, but a cost of a light is worth tremendous amount of money too.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody. Okay, the motion before us is to approve AB 24-067, an ordinance amending NBMC 10.12.010B to reduce the speed limit from 50 mile MPH to 40 MPH for the segment of SR 202 between milepost 28-20 or .28 and milepost 29.60 as a first and final reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passed unanimously. Thank you, everybody, and appreciate all your comments. Okay, item 11, AB 24-068, resolution setting public hearing date for Alm Way Row vacation. Mr. Rigos, will you please provide the staff report?
You bet, page 255 in your packet, and this is not the actual public hearing or the vacation. We're just setting a date for a potential public hearing for August 20th. City of North Bend several months ago received a vacation request for Alm Way. That is located just north of 8th Street. The adjacent property owner is Vector Development. They purchased the property from Puget Western several years ago. You may recall that was going to be a gas headquarters, a gas training headquarters site. Now the potential is going to be for a warehouse. There's a 60-foot wide public right of way. It's somewhat of a rural road section where there's no curb cut or sidewalk. It's just two travel lanes, not much of a shoulder, kind of gravel shoulder and drainage ditch. Alm Way is used to access the Tanner Electric substation. I have had communications with Tanner Electric about the potential for the city to vacate this corridor, and they seem just fine with it as long as there's access for their trucks to go back and forth. So if this was to be vacated, we would have the property owner, number one, grant a 30-foot wide public easement for access and utilities, and we would be running water and sewer lines out there. There could be underground gas, underground power. So there'd be a 30-foot wide public easement. It would be signed for no parking so that Tanner Electric trucks had 24/7 access to their facility. And what this would allow is Vector's development would get a little bit larger. There are setback requirements from the property lines, but with 30 feet going, they would be purchasing potentially 60 feet. With 30 feet additional, that's probably how much larger their structure would become. That area in the backside would probably be somewhat of a loading dock type area and employee parking. We don't know who the final tenant is going to be at this point. They are in for I don't think they've submitted their building permit application yet, but they have, I believe, submitted for SEPA. I don't want to put Rebecca on the spot here, but they are moving that project along. And so that's the, happy to answer any questions if I didn't cover this. We did talk about this a couple times at TPW committee meetings. The developer has offered $337,000 to the city that is required to be used for utilities, and it makes sense to provide that money for a lot of utilities in that area. The city is sorely deficient in utilities in that area. We don't have water, we don't have sewer. But it's zoned all commercial, so this is perfect. This money allows us to build other people's money, necessary public utilities in that area. So staff would support this moving forward. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Rigos. Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none? Unless I'm seeing double, there's nothing. Okay, if any, what, pardon me? And anybody online? I don't see anybody.
No one.
Thank you for the clarification there. If any members of the audience would like to comment on this agenda item, we would invite you to come forward to the podium at this time. If you have requested accommodation with the city clerk and wish to speak, please raise your hand through the virtual platform and we will take your comments after in-person comments. Please remember to state your name, address for the record, and your 3 minutes to speak. But seeing nobody, please, gonna give it another, nope. Okay, Council Member Torgerson, will you please make the motion?
Absolutely.
Great.
Motion to approve AB 24-068, a resolution initiating vacation proceedings for a portion of city right-of-way of Alm Way and setting a public hearing on August 20th, 2024 for the potential vacation.
And may I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Gottelf, and a motion made by Ms. Torgerson. Ms. Torgerson, would you like to comment on your motion?
I'm sure it sounds like a great idea to me. It's always a win-win when we get paid and we can utilize that for other infrastructure in the area. I think it's a win for Tanner Electric. I mean, it's a win for everybody. So I think it's a great idea for us to explore it more.
Thank you, Mr. Gottelf.
I think Ms. Torgerson did a wonderful job of it.
Well, that's great. Any other council wish to comment? No? Okay, the motion before us is to approve AB 24-068, a resolution initiating vacation proceedings for a portion of city right-of-way of Alm Way and setting a public hearing on August 20th, 2024 for the potential vacation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are passing unanimously. Thank you again, everybody. We're going to move on to Mayor, Council, Administrator concerns and initiatives. Who would like to go first? Jump all at once.
I will.
Errol. Oh, okay, Susan, right ahead. Excuse me, Errol, didn't mean to bounce you down there, but.
Okay, well,
Where's yours, Susan?
as we know, people are in hard times, so I always encourage everybody to, if they can, do some donations to both the food bank here in North Bend, as well as help out the senior center. Also, I recently went to something, I can't remember, it's been the last couple of months. I went to one of the things that we go to, and they were talking about how there's not a lot of preschools out there. In fact, the number of preschools had gone down. And I know of one that just is opening up. So I want to share that with people in case they want to go. It is a preschool registration. They're opening it now for the 2024 and 2025 school year. It's an early Christian education. It's Calvary Mount Si, offering 2-day and 4-day options for children 3 to 5 years old. And you can just contact the church, or you can send an email to academy@calvarymountsi.com. So hopefully that can help out some people out there.
Thank you, Ms. Torgerson. Errol, you're on.
Sure. A couple notes. You just sparked my thought on a play care daycare. Good friends of ours have opened up locally in North Bend, the Village Project North Bend. There's registration open now. There's a bunch of free family drop-in days. It's right down the street by the North Bend Theater. So a lot of opportunities this summer to check it out, see if it's a good fit for your family. My little one will be there in September if you'd like to hang out with her. Couple other things. Yeah, I've had some really good conversations with some local folks that are leading the charge for Valley Pool Together. So if you still want a regional pool, I would suggest you track them. They've got good updates. I think this council's had some really fruitful conversations about how that might happen here in North Bend. And then a heat of warning. We've been down to the river a couple times with our family and friends. The current is still moving pretty good. It is great and refreshing, but just be careful with the little ones. There's been some exciting events down the river. Let's try to avoid it, but play safely. That's it.
Thank you, Earl. Mr. Gatto.
Oh, thank you. As usual, it's light longer out. Kids are out playing, summer, school's out. Please watch your speeds as we talked about tonight. And watch those people as you're going out there. That's about, oh, one other thing. We are under a wildfire warning because of fire or lightning possibly in the Cascades tonight. So please, everybody be out there safe. If you haven't and you lived in the Bowie area, you haven't reached out to East Side and got a survey on your site to see what you can do to make sure that you're protected if there's a wildfire, please do. That's all I got tonight.
Thank you, Christina.
Yes, thank you. It's a beautiful summer evening, and I know that you're going to cover all of the exciting events that are coming up. So I'm going to say that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for your faith in that. Okay, and I haven't forgot you gentlemen online. Mr. Jocelyn, would you like to add some commentary?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. And Brendan.
Nothing tonight from me, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. We'll go to Dave Miller. Mr. Miller.
I'm gonna follow suit. Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Well, then that puts it all on me at this point. Okay.
No pressure.
Oh, please, really. Okay, I've got a little bit long-winded, but it's all important information. So here we go. A reminder to all that the North Bend Downtown Block Party in its 14th year, by the way, will take place on Saturday, July 20th from noon to 10 p.m. This free event features music performances, kids zone, food and beer and wine, a wine garden. To find out more about this event, including the music lineup as the headliner, please visit the news section of the city website. Following the block party on Sunday, July 21st from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Early Ford Club of America will host classic cars and trucks along North Bend Way between Bendigo Boulevard and Ballarat Avenue. The day will include music, trophies, and raffles. And boy, I'm going to be there and having fun, so I hope to see you all there too. I'll be saying hi. So anyway, chat with the chiefs is your opportunity to talk about public safety in North Bend. Stop by the Trail to Youth Coffee Home on Wednesday, July 31st from 11 to 12 p.m. Meet Snoqualmie North Bend Police Chief Brian Lynch and Eastside Fire and Rescue, that's EFR, Chief Ben Lane. The Snoqualmie North Bend Police Department will be hosting National Night Out on Tuesday, August 6th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Skyview Park here in North Bend. The public is invited to attend this family-oriented event with features a barbecue, live music. I think Brian is actually playing, Brian Lynch, and children's activities. I want to encourage everyone to attend the festival at Mount Si on August 10th and 11th. This is a hometown favorite for years. The festival features a full schedule of fun and activities for the whole family, including the Grand Parade on North Bend Way on Saturday morning and the return of the ever popular fireworks show at Torgerson Park on Saturday night at 10 p.m. Council, just a reminder that the August 6th City Council meeting has been canceled. And just to add my final thanks to staff for your incredible work and effort at all time. I'm just going to reiterate that I heard a lot from the outer world, the residents, in fact, about our abundant flowers through town. I'm excited to see them every day. So it's good and positive stuff. And thank you for everybody online tonight who spoke. This mayor and our council is very, very happy, and we value you all and appreciate hearing from our residents. So everybody have a great night. At this time, I'd like to adjourn. So is someone going to help me along with that?
So moved.
Okay. Thank you for that. And anybody for second?
Second.
Okay, so And well, away we go. So a motion by Mr. Goto, seconded by Ms. Torgerson. Everybody have a wonderful weekend and we are adjourned.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Just want to see if you're all awake. Take care.